Welcome to another episode on the See Through It podcast. I know this is kind of late, but I gotta keep the show moving. We're supposed to have a guest star or guest co-host. She ran into some difficulties at work, so we gotta keep the show moving. She'll be here tomorrow via Skype. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into it. I am your host, Brian Sales, and today we are talking Power 5 conferences. We're going to start off with the Pac 12. Today, we are starting off with the Pac 12. And as you see on the board, I got my new whiteboard. Isn't it nice? You see what I got up there? Talking points. My year two, Chip Kelly. We got a couple new coaches in the Pac 12. A couple new coaches that's going to be rolling into their year twos. And Chip Kelly being one, Kevin Sumlin and Herm Edwards. A very new one, Melvin Tucker, the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes. But we don't expect a lot out of the Colorado Buffaloes. As you see, as my third point, Colorado shouldn't even be in the Pac-12. But we'll get to that later. Year two, for the coaches, and I think the coach that's going to stand out the most, as you see, I put him on the board, is Chip Kelly. Him being able to... Why so late? My co-host ran into some issues. I was trying to make sure she was able to do the show, but she wasn't able to do the show. So got the show going on. It's freezing up. Let's see, what is it saying? How's it going now? Is it going straight? Is it straight? It's saying that it's straight. Is it straight? Can you see me? It should be good. It should be good now. Oh yeah. So like I said, the show gotta go on. She'll be here tomorrow. We'll be talking about the ACC. But back to what I was saying about Chip Kelly and the year two and the new coaches. I feel like Chip Kelly, a second year at UCLA, been able to get his system implemented and the players really knowing the playbook very well and knowing his expectations for his play style. I feel UCLA will fare very well. I feel like they will do much better than what they were last year. That doesn't mean they're going to become number one from bottom to top this year, but in the upcoming seasons, I feel UCLA will be right there. I feel like they will be right there. Kevin Sumlin of the Arizona Wildcats. Same thing with him. His offense, these are offensive coaches. Chip Kelly and Kevin Sumlin are offensive coaches. So it's going to take a while for the skill set players that they're looking for to get adapted to the system, know the system, know it like the back of their hand. So I see improvements for the Arizona Wildcats. They finished 5-7. That's not too bad. But when you go in your in-state rival, Arizona State, with Herm Edwards, and they finished 7-6, and they almost came close to winning the South Division. I like that team. They lost their star running back, but I feel like that team is a veteran team. They still got their offensive line. I feel like the coach, Herm Edwards, is not going to put the quarterback in a different position or in a difficult position to fail. I feel like he's definitely going to probably keep the ball on the offensive side and make sure the defense keeps the team keeps the team with the chance to win games. And then they finished 7-6. They had some impressive victories. They beat Oregon. They also beat Utah. So I mean, they had a good season. Their non-conference schedule this year. The game that I'm circling for Arizona State is that Michigan State game. How will they fare against Michigan State? Also, Michigan State, a team that is rebuilding and hopefully trying to find what their identity is going to be. But we'll talk about the Big Ten on another day. That'll actually be Thursday. But I feel like those three coaches will have better years. If I was to go with what their records would be, I don't know. I don't know. Texas Tech, that's a non-conference game for the Arizona Wildcats. That might be a shootout. Arizona also has Hawaii and North Arizona, so not a real tough non-conference. Arizona State again, Kent State, Sacramento State, and Michigan State. I'm underlining that Michigan State game. I think that will determine the rest of their season. If they pick up a W in that Michigan State game, I can see them winning the Pac-12 South. I've been high on Arizona State all summer. And I just didn't see enough from them in the spring game and in their scrimmages to be like, you know what, I am high on Arizona State though. UCLA, they was 3-9. You can definitely go worse than that, 0-12, but I don't see a Chip Kelly offense going 0-12. They got a tough game against Oklahoma. That's a very tough game. Let's say they go even. They go 6-6. So I'll say UCLA goes 6-6. I'm gonna say the same thing for Arizona, and Arizona State can only improve. I'll go 8-5 for Arizona State, 8-5. But I don't have them winning the South. Like I said, I was very high on Arizona State, but I don't have them winning the South. So as we move on to our next point, we're gonna talk about as you see, the air raid, USC Trojans and the air raid. I remember when they made the move for their offensive coordinator, and his play style is to just air the ball out. There was an analyst on ESPN that was bashing USC for trying to become a mid-major or trying to run a mid-major style offense at a big school. Like, I don't see why. At first I was like, yeah, why would you run that? Why would you run that offense? But then I'm like, why not? Why not run that offense when you have the skill set, you have the speed on the outside, and you have the quarterbacks? Why would you not run an air raid offense? That was my favorite playbook. When I was playing college football, I was air raid. It was either run and gun or run and shoot or air raid. The air raid offense, I think, will work perfectly at USC. There was a game that I watched last year, USC versus Notre Dame, where that was a very competitive game. They was right there. And they lost that game because of turnovers, some bad defensive schemes, some bad defensive plays. Offensively, they had Notre Dame, I don't want to say scared, but they had Notre Dame playing on their toes. Notre Dame was playing 10 yards off. They wasn't pressing anyone because of the speed of the USC wide receivers, because of the skill set. Basically, USC had a bunch of walk-ons. They didn't have their 5-star recruits, they 4-stars. They had a bunch of 2s and 1s. And those 2s and 1s still have enough skill set to make a difference. So I feel like that air raid offense, if they do it right, if USC does it right, this could be very good. This could be very good. The game that's like highlighted for them is Notre Dame. Highlighted Notre Dame, and they play Oregon. Stanford comes. They got to play Stanford at home. A lot of their games are going to be at home. USC is set up to, if they play right, they're set up to take care of business. So I feel like the air raid will work perfectly at home in Southern California on a dry day. So if USC, Clay Shelton is the head coach. No, not Shelton. Helton, my bad. If USC does what they're supposed to do, they could be right there owning the Pac-12 again. Well, in a fight for the Pac-12 South. As you see, my third point is kicking Colorado Buffaloes out. We're about to kill USC. Kicking out the Colorado Buffaloes. The Buffaloes came from the Big 12. And if you look at a map, the Big 12 consisted of Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, a bunch of schools in Texas, Baylor's in Texas, Kansas, and Iowa State, right? I see. We're gonna talk about ND when we talk about the ACC, but Um, when you look at that's the map, and Colorado's right there in that. Let's say triangle. Colorado's right there in that triangle, and then you go to the Pac-12, and somehow Colorado got grabbed into that Pac-12 where everyone was shifting and everyone got scared like they was gonna be blocked out of a championship game. Well, since Colorado has made the move to the Pac-12, they have been nothing. They haven't been able to compete. They don't have the same skill set. That's a whole different style of play on the West Coast. They don't have that talent in that state. They can't recruit to get players to play that style or play that way in the Pac-12 as if they was playing in the Big 12. And even then, how the Big 12 has transitioned into a high explosive offense, I don't think Colorado would survive in the Big. Like, thinking about it now, I don't think Colorado would survive in the Big 12 either. They might just want to join the Mountain West. Like, there's no reason for the Colorado Buffaloes to be in the for them to be in the Pac-12 or the Big 12, unless they want to share victories with Kansas, Iowa State. Who else is it? Baylor. Trying to figure out who's going to be at the bottom. But there's no reason for them to be in the Pac-12 at all. They haven't done anything. No one can tell me at any point in time where you felt like Colorado had a chance of winning the Pac-12 South. No one felt that way. No one in Colorado felt that way. The people in Colorado, I'm pretty sure, they miss the days of when they played in the Big 12, the rivalry game against Nebraska. They still play that game, but it's a different feel when Nebraska plays in the Big 10 and Colorado plays in the Pac-12. It's a different feel. It's not the same type of game. Colorado needs to go back to the Big 12, and then maybe some more, and then that game will have some more impact, some more importance. But for right now, I'm not liking it. I never liked that move. It's an ugly move. It doesn't make any sense to me. If anything, kick them out and bring in Boise State. Boise State has been running the Mountain West Conference for years. Why not invite Boise State to play in the Pac-12? Put Boise State in the Big 12. Bring Boise State into a bigger conference so we can stop hearing all the crying about Boise State is 10-1, 11-1. They won the conference. Why are they not in the playoffs? Well, because they play in the conference that they play in. That's reality. You can't cry about not being in a big game when you don't play anyone. Your non-conference schedule looks like what it looks like. And then the teams that you play in your conference look like what they look like. It's time to move Boise State into the Pac-12 or into the Big 12. Get Colorado out of there. Colorado needs to go to the Mountain West. Or what's the other conference? The American Conference somehow. They do not need to be in the Pac-12 at all. As we move on, as you see there, will the Pac-12 win their non-conference games? Oregon has a big one. It's an early test. Oregon and Auburn. And it's been well documented that Oregon does not perform very well against teams who play good defense, against teams who are solid on offense. They don't play very well. We haven't seen it. The last time I seen Oregon play a well fought game was against Michigan in the Big House. When they came into Michigan, Jonathan Stewart, he took the hammer and was banging on the end zone. They ran all over Michigan in that game. I haven't seen Oregon do anything like that since then. They lost to Auburn. Didn't they lost to Ohio State? Yeah, that was a massacre, and the Pac-12 has not been right since then. This is going to be a big game for Oregon. The way they schedule is set up, let me get this straight. They got Auburn. They play Auburn. They go to Nevada, play Montana, and then after that, they go to USC, they go to Stanford. They have Washington at home and Arizona State. Again, I remind you, They lost to Arizona State. Now, this team is supposed to be a high-octane offense with a first-round draft quarterback in Justin. They have 19 returning starters. Everything right now is setting up pretty. Everyone is jumping on that Oregon Ducks bandwagon. Everyone. Why? Last year they was high on Justin. What did he do? He went 9-4. That team went 9-4. Yes, everyone, well, they had injuries or gooba gaba gooba. Who cares? They went 9-4. Why are we so high on Oregon? This game, I'm not saying they can't beat Auburn, because I watched Auburn, and I don't know. I watched Auburn, but they always manage to do something that we don't expect them to do. That's Auburn. Gus Malzahn, they always do something we don't expect them to do. This is one of those games. Everyone's high on Oregon. Everyone's like, well, Gus Malzahn about to get fired. This is one of those games. It's a trap. Everyone in Eugene, Oregon, this is a trap. Tell your players, don't come to that game thinking they're just about to run over Auburn. That's not going to happen. You're going to have to come focused, because this is set up for Auburn to do something crazy and shock the world. No one's really expecting Auburn to win that game. They just selected their quarterback. And all season we was trying to figure out who their quarterback was going to be. What kind of offense were they going to? Are they going to still be trying to force the quarterback to run the ball? Are they going to pat? What are they going to do? We still don't know. This is set up for Auburn to do something crazy in week 1. So then we got to hear about them all season long. Eugene, Oregon. Do not let Auburn trick you into failing and losing that game. Do not. So come ready. That game, I feel like, will set the ball in motion for Oregon. If they take care of business against Auburn, the Pac-12 could definitely be theirs, and they could be punching their ticket to another playoff. They could be punching that ticket to another playoff. Other than that, there's not a lot of non-conference games for the Pac-12 that makes you go like, ooh, whoa. You got USC at Notre Dame. That's a big one, because I feel like USC is a much better team than what they showed last year. They have the skills, they have the talent, they have the personnel, and now that they're going to be running this air raid offense, like I said before in my interview with Mark, the defense for Notre Dame is going to have to keep them in a lot of games. That Notre Dame USC game might be a shootout. I'm thinking it's going to be a shootout. Other than that, there's no other non-conference game on here that stands out for the Pac-12 as the Pac-12 being one of those tough conferences. So if you pay attention to how I got this set up, the Pac-12 is doing today. Tomorrow is the ACC. After tomorrow, Wednesday, we go Big 12. After the Big 12, we go Big 10, SEC. Pay attention to how I got this going. This is letting you know how I feel about each conference. And there's no bias to the SEC being the last one. That's just how I feel. That's not a bias. That's the SEC being the best conference, but the toughest conference this year is the Big 10. But I've ranked it from worst to best. The best conference is the SEC. That's where your champions been playing at for the longest. But the toughest conference this year is the Big 10. So let's go ahead and talk about. It's not really a conversation, but we're just going to go ahead and put out the prediction. This is, like I said, this is the outlook for the Pac-12. The outlook for the Pac-12. And as I said before, I've been so high on Arizona State. I want to pick the Arizona State Sun Devils. I want to pick them. But after seeing them play and not really knowing much about the new quarterback that's going to be taking over, I trust Herm Edwards to make sure his team is in the right, that he's going to put his team in the right position to do what they need to do. I trust that of Herm Edwards. He's a gamer. He's gonna He's gonna game plan to the strengths of his team. He's not gonna put them in a position to get blown out. I don't see that happening, especially with a young quarterback. And he has a veteran line. So I feel like the running backs are going to get a lot of work, but I just don't see them putting up enough points to pull out some of these victories. Like I said, I have them going 8-5. That's just not as good. That's just not as good. I think I'm saying that wrong, but that's not good enough. There we go. That's not good enough to win that division. So what I have here is Utah. I have the Utah Utes winning the Pac-12 South. I have the Utah Utes winning the Pac-12 South. The way their schedule is set up, they got BYU, Northern Illinois, and Idaho State. That's their non-conference. Now, I don't see how the committee will pick Utah to represent the Pac-12 in the playoffs. I don't see it because there's no one on their schedule. Even their even their conference schedule, they don't have to play Oregon or Stanford. That's huge. You don't have to play Oregon or Stanford. That's big. So it's easy to pick them. They got USC. They go to USC, but other than that, they take care of business everywhere else. They'll be fine. So they went 9-5 last year. They lost to Washington in the Pac-12 10-3. That was a horrible game. I watched that. That was the worst championship game known to mankind. People don't care about football on the West Coast. That's what I got from it. That's the stadium was empty, but I digress. So we're gonna just go ahead and line up Oregon. We're gonna line Oregon up with the Utah Utes, and that's what we're going. We're gonna go with Oregon versus the Utah Utes, and I'm gonna say Utah takes the conference. I'm not as sold on Oregon like everyone else is. I don't. They haven't done enough. I haven't seen enough. But like I said, if they take out Auburn, they do what they're supposed to do, and they show how focused they are. They show focus, and everyone stays healthy as you can be. Let me see. Yeah, I see there's a little lag. So pardon the lag on the system. I don't know what's going on, but if Oregon stays focused and stays healthy, and they take care of their home games, and like I said, the two big games that they got, they're going to be on the road, USC and Stanford. If they take care of those games, I can see them punching their ticket to the conference championship. But I still feel like Utah, they got a bunch of people coming back. They have a bunch of people coming back, and their schedule's set up too easy. I think they'll skate through their whole schedule and be rested and full of energy for that Pac-12 game and bounce back and get a victory and win the Pac-12. So that's your number one champion right now. That's your number one champion. Oh, it's not like it seemed like it was doing something, but thank you. That's who I have for the Pac-12. So Utah, book it here. I have Utah winning the Pac-12. Like I said, the USC Trojans, that's a team to watch out for, and the Arizona State Sun Devils, another dangerous team to watch out for. Those are the two teams that I like. I'm very high up on. So that'll close out the Pac-12 outlook. The coaches, I feel like the coach of the year for the Pac-12 is going to be Herm Edwards. He's going to finish 8-5. The team, that's probably not a good record for a coach of the year, but seeing that this is his second year dealing with a team that he's rebuilding, I feel like that's a good record for Herm Edwards. So Arizona State coach of the year, Herm Edwards, and your Pac-12 champions is the Utah Utes. So that'll wrap that up. Again, thank you. Before we get out of here, I want to say, you see my goal, my little goal box right there that I have highlighted. I'm trying to get to 500 followers. So if you can, share, like, comment, join in the conversation. Like I said, I do sports, and we do community things that affect us in our community. So make sure you share, comment, like. Tomorrow we will be talking and breaking down the ACC. Yes, the conference that Clemson has taken control over for so many years now, and we probably don't see any end coming to that. Hopefully we have our guest here tomorrow, Bama Bo. Again, she got held up at work, and a lot of things happen. So life happens, and the show got to keep going. So thank you. No problem, man. No problem. Thank you for the support. Adams and Dickinson. Yep. John Adams all the way. Thank you, Dex. So again, I lost train of thought, but share, like, and comment. Show your support. I appreciate it any way you can. Just trying to get these numbers up, trying to become the best podcast in this area. And I got some more news to tell you guys. So coming Friday, actually, I'm going to post the information tonight. Stay tuned on the podcast page. I got some news. I got some people coming in. So make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be doing a lot of things on the show. I'm doing a lot of things behind this. I'm talking to a lot of people, doing a lot of things. So again, thank you for the support. My last video reached over, I think it's up to 800 views, if I'm not mistaken. Roll Tide. I see you, Daddy. Roll Tide. Keep supporting it. Thank you for the last episode that you guys ran the numbers up on. I appreciate that very much. So again, that wraps up tonight. Make sure you see through it. Don't get caught up in the smoke screen. All this hype about nothing. Nope. We don't do hype. We look at what it is and we call it out. So this is the See Through It podcast. I am your host, Brian Sells. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.